So yes, this is what happens when you say, I'm going back to Nikon. In fact, it's my selection of what are the best lenses in any focal range, and I didn't put here my manual focus lenses. I will just introduce them to you so you see my total complete assortment of my lenses for my Nikon F mount system. So hello and welcome back. My name is Didier Moulin. I am a corporate photographer based in France, and I love photography that much that I have also the gear acquisition syndrome, I have to admit, because otherwise I wouldn't have all this gear for sure. So let's see right now what is my selection of fixed and zoom lenses for the Nikon F mount. The widest is the Sigma 14 to 24, like you see here. This is a superb lens, and I just made a video recently mounted on my D3X just to show you all this lens performs very well. The other one, I already talked about this in my in some of my videos. Now this is the 28mm 1.4. To my honest opinion, this is like a Leica Sumilux 28mm. For sure it's far bigger than a Sumilux lens, but mounted on a Nikon F mount, it's like having a Leica Q, 2 or 3 times bigger. But my god, this is it. This is as good as it. The other one that is maybe underrated or that just came on the market in the same time as the mirrorless system came out. So that means that we don't see often this lens on the market or on the second-hand market. It's the Tamron 35mm 1.4, and this is the best ever lens made by Tamron, and also, to my honest opinion only, this is the best 35mm 1.4 you can find on the F mount system. So the Tamron 1.4, not the 1.8, the 1.4. Tamron put all its knowledge into this lens and they made a marvel. Then we have this one. This one is just amazing. This is the Otus, Zeiss Otus 55mm 1.4. Wow, for portrait photography, to start with, in the range of the portrait lenses, this is the widest that I would use, and wow, I tested it against the 50mm 1.4 Sumilux SL lens, the one that records me here, and it's on par. It's the same level of quality, of sharpness, of smoothness. It's a wow lens, I would say. It's manual focus only. The throw of the manual ring here is very long. You make a full complete turn of the nearly complete turn of the wheel here to make your focus and fine-tune your focus, and this is very incredible. And I made some portraits sometimes in some parties with friends and so on, and 55 1.4, perfect. The next one is maybe also very underrated, is the Tamron SP 85mm 1.8 VC. VC because it's a vibration control, so it's unique lens in this wide to small short telephoto lens that has vibration control. 85 1.8 from Tamron to me the 35 and the 85 are they are my go-to lenses sometimes when I have a business for you have some a fair or an after work or whatever, and you have a lot of people. I took just take two lenses, the 35 and the 85, and I took my D3S and my D6, and I make all the afternoon with this, and it's very complementary lenses, both of them. So you have seen that is in this range I don't have the 24 to 70 zoom. I prefer using a prime lens in this focal range. Then we jump to the next level of focal range. We have the 105 1.4 E lens. This is a marvel to use. This is the one of the, if not the best lens from Nikon. The best is coming after, but this is, I would say, the second best lens, prime lens from Nikon. And the good thing also is that you can mount this on a Leica SL camera using an adapter. Every E lens can be mounted on an SL camera, Leica. So the 105 and the 28 1.4 can be mounted, and you can play with a Leica SL, SL2, SL3 with the correct adapter, and you get the focus and aperture control from the camera. Yes. So the next one, and the best ever lens made by Nikon, this is the 200mm f2 VR2. And my God, this lens really is the best lens from Nikon. It's 200 f2, so this is that big when you have an f2 lens compared to, let's say, look at the 105. 105 1.4 is already, wow, something incredible, but the f2 on the 200mm is that big. This is a light gathering lens. Just impressive. It's not easy to use because it's quite heavy. You need to have a big camera, a big body camera to use this lens, because, my God, it's so heavy that you need to have something on which it balances correctly. The 200mm. When then we enter in the field of wildlife photography, and sometimes I like to do it, and I'm not a wildlife photographer, but it's something that I like to do. So in this case, what I use is my D500, and first of all is the 300 f4 PF. It's an E lens also that you can use on a Leica, but you will not get the VR working on a Leica SL camera. So it works perfectly on the F mount and Z mount, of course. You have the electromagnetic diaphragm again. It's 300mm. It's f4, and look at how small this lens is. It's a 300mm. Yes, you get me right, 300mm, and it is as big or as small, I would say, as a 24 to 70 f2.8. It's the same size, and it's even lighter. This is the Fresnel technology that Nikon uses in their lenses, and I think this was the first that they made with this technology, and it's so pleasing to get this in your bag. You have a 300mm. Look how small it is. It's just funny, and this lens works very fine, very fine. The next one, mounted on a D500, is just amazing, because you get a 750mm f5.6. Otherwise it's the 500mm that you get here. Look how small it is and how light. It's very light. You know, you can handle it like this, very light. You mount it on a D500, you have a, as I said, a 750. Then you can use a 1.4 TD converter, and then you have more than 1000 millimeter equivalent focal range. That small. Can you imagine? So yes, it's an EPF again, like the same technology as what we get into the 300 millimeter. And this is working very, very well. I hesitated sometimes to get 500 f4 because we can find some on the used market. Still a bit too expensive according to me, but so heavy. So heavy. And I hesitated also with the 800 f5.6 that you have on the F mount only. VR, of course, E and so on. It was so expensive that now you can get some at 7,000 euros. It's already, again, still very expensive. So I don't play that at these prices. But then I thought, this 800 millimeter is so huge, so big that you cannot even think of taking it into your backpack. And that's there that I thought about this 500 millimeter. That is on a D500 equivalent to something like 1000 if you use the teleconverter 1.4. Next one, then we go into the zoom. Lenses, the 70 to 200 millimeter f2.8 EFL, ED, VR, blah blah blah. The best 70 to 200 they made on the F mount. The last one they made before they switched to the Z mount, and it corrected all the flaws of the VR2 lens that has some focus breathing at 200 millimeter. It wasn't really a 200 millimeter when you were at a short distance. This corrects this problem. It's an E lens again, so electromagnetic diaphragm again, and that works flawlessly. Wow! Very versatile and much easier to handle compared to the 200 f2. So you lose a stop at 2.8. Okay, f2 is not, it's irremplaçable, do we say? You cannot match an f2 quality lens with a 2.8, but in case you want the versatility of the zoom, internal zoom, and you're okay to lose this stop, the 70 to 200 is by far one of the best zoom lenses that we can find. Another one that I like a lot, but I don't have, is the 180 to 400 f4 TC. Wow, this lens is just a dream lens. You get the 180mm to 400, and then you just have a switch on the side, a 1.4 teleconverter inside the lens that allows you to reach nearly 600mm, and you pair it with a D500 and you are nearly at a 900mm. Yeah, f5.6. The next one is this one. I tried to sell it sometimes, but I didn't succeed in selling this lens. Maybe I went too high because I don't want to get rid of it in reality. It's the 80 to 200 f2.8 AFS lens. So it is the AFS, that means that it's here again, internal zoom, nothing moves. The lens keeps the same size when you zoom in and out. It's a fixed 2.8 aperture, no vibration control inside, and this lens has a background blur that is one of the best of all the lenses I have here except the 200 f2. It would be my second choice in terms of bokeh quality after the 200 f2, of course. One amazing lens that is lighter than the two previous zoom is the Tamron 70 to 210 f4. It's like the Nikon 70 to 200 f4, you know. And this is underrated also because it works so well. So small, so light, so fast lens that, my God, I think it is underrated. This is on sale because obviously with the 70-200 I don't need this one, but if you are interested, let me know. And it's as good as new, and also you have this that is an option, but that is included with the lens. And wow, this lens works very well. And the last one for wildlife photography is just a marvelous lens. That is the 70-300 AFP lens from Nikon. Yeah, it's an AFP, and it works also on the D3 system, D3S, D3X, with the last firmware update from several years ago, but it works fine on this camera. Obviously it works very well on the D500 and on the D6. I never saw such a fast lens in terms of autofocus. This is, wow, very fast. It's an E lens, also electromagnetic, and AFP. It's because of this P, the new technology in the Nikon lens, zoom lens mainly. Wow, so fast and accurate, precise zoom. Wow. It's a f4.5 to 5.6. Obviously you lose some f-stops compared to 70-200 here, as you can see, and it's as big as the 300 f4 up until you keep it at 70mm, right? It is right now, but once you are at 300mm, this is the size of this 70-300mm, 4.5 to 5.6. I've been impressed by this lens in few occasions when I used it, and sometimes when I am on vacation or on a trip, I take this with my D6. It covers 70-300. So this is my assortment of lenses for the F mount system with autofocus, except the Zeiss 55mm. So you have seen that I don't have the 85 1.4 because I prefer the Tamron 55 1.8 VC. I no longer have the 58 1.4 because I find it to have lots of chromatic aberration that I don't like. And so that's it. I don't have the 14-24 Nikon, and I prefer to get this Sigma, which is sharper on the side of the frame compared to the Nikon. So 14-24, 28 1.4, 35 1.4, 55 1.4, 85 1.8, 105 1.4, 200 f2, 300 f4, 500 f5.6, and some 70-200 each zooms lens. Let me know what you have or what you would like to test or to see or to get maybe also on your side within this lens assortment. But believe me, these are the most qualitative lenses that I found to mount on the F mount when I decided to come back to this mount. And of course I keep the L mount for my videos, and sometimes when I need to be silent in my professional assignment, I will use the L mount system, which is mirrorless, of course, that makes nearly no noise. But when I'm okay and it's okay to make some noise, I take my D6. I love this camera, or the D3X outside when there is light, or the D3S when I am missing light, and I pair it with the D6. and sometimes I use my DF as a fun camera for street photography, as you have seen already in previous videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.